So tell us about the type of architecture that you engage in.
Today, what I practice is, and I'll get into it in more detail, but I practice what I call conscious architecture. It's not a typology or a building type, as we say. So I am not a hospital architect or a residential architect or a commercial architect. I've had the good fortune over the years to do a really wide variety of project types. And today, what I've found is that I've developed relationships with people, and the people and that work together drives the project types out of it. So in other words, by getting to know people, of course, inside this business of design and development and architecture and so on, the relationships I've developed are people who want to do, in one case, I'm doing office building work. In another case, yesterday I had a call with someone, a client of mine, who we are going to do co-living in part of Los Angeles called Koreatown. A very popular building type right now. Co-living, which I can explain more of. We do residential work. There are 2 fire rebuild houses because LA has had these terrible fires. And so it's a really great range of work, and it's kind of enthusing for myself and the team I've got to work on a whole variety as opposed to one type. I've focused on types over the years, and one of the types that's a specialty of all things happens to be cruise ship terminals. And that's been a lot of fun. It's been really an interesting kind of building type. And it's one that I've done, I think we've done 26 or so, and about 36 or 7 waterfront projects that they're a part of. And those have been very interesting for a variety of reasons, but otherwise it's a broad range. And I run what I call a virtual practice. So this is my home. The background you're seeing is actually my home. I stopped having an office, 9 years ago. I have a team of really good people. Some of them are in LA, some of them are in the LA region, and some of them are in places like Amsterdam. And through methods like this, and of course all the other electronic ways that we've been working, we get a lot of work done and coordinate and collaborate together.
That's interesting. So you're ahead of the curve by 9 years with this a little bit. That's great.
We didn't have any. We didn't skip a beat in that sense. We just kept on working. But it's definitely been an impact some other ways.
As you described the cruise ship terminals, it occurs to me that there might likely be an appetite for a different kind of terminal in the future, given the current situation. Do you think that it'll impact design? And I know this is a little off the script, but I'm curious your thoughts on how that might evolve given the current situation.
It's absolutely going to change a lot of things. Cruise lines, cruising for most of its life as a tourism form was sort of like the second tier of tourism in a way. If you might want to go on a cruise for just to go on a cruise, but a lot of times what happens is if there was some sort of a problem, if there was a localized or even like a national or international kind of disastrous situation, cruising increased because people didn't want to fly. People didn't want to go to a place where they felt, at risk, let's say. So they'd be fine to get on a ship, and cruise around the world, cruise the Mediterranean or cruise to Alaska or the Caribbean islands. Today, cruising has, suddenly become, a huge risk, a health risk, right? So now the issue of how clean are these vessels, how safe is it, can we enjoy ourselves on it? People would much rather be on the land, a little less compacted. So what's happening in terms of the buildings is they were already dealing with cleanliness. For instance, the Hong Kong cruise terminal I worked on, when you got off that ship, there was a person you walked past you wouldn't have even noticed probably, and they had a little gauge with them which was taking your temperature. So they had a little spot thermometer that could read from 5 feet away this person might have 102 fever or so. Let's pull them aside. So they had a health check. Now, that's I think that's going to be standard practice, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. It's watching Carnival Cruise Lines share and wondering if that's a bargain or not right now is it's definitely occupied some of my time in the last few days. So you used the term conscious architecture, and you went into it a little bit, but when I saw that in your email tagline, it really caught my eye, and I was wondering if you could further elaborate on what that means.
Yeah, conscious architecture is a term we began using about a year and a half ago. It came out of years of sustainability work, and sustainability work meaning the kinds of materials we use, the energy conservation, water quantities, where materials are from, how far away do those come from to the site. All those factors were what we were in the earliest phases of environmentalism. We were thinking about those as really important, particularly energy, right? So energy in the 70s, that was the big thing for us, right? It was save energy on the building and save energy in your car and all that. And out of that grew all sorts of different factors. And the factors then grew into ways to judge a building's quality. So now you've got certifications like LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Today, there's a well building standard for how you take LEED and then add water quality into it, air quality into it, other factors. Basically, there was a lot of these factors going on and people assessing their projects in different ways. And my group and I began to talk about how we look at this from a more holistic point of view so that we tie a lot more together. And we arrived at the word conscious because what we thought about was, let's be very conscious about what it is that we're doing. And that's the basis for making choices, as opposed to, let's get that plaque. Let's save so much energy that we got this big gold star in our building or whatever it is. So conscious architecture is a way of saying, let's take of what I think of as the three legs of the stool, environmental, social, and economic. And most development today and most historically has been primarily driven by the economics. So if I work for a developer, typically it would have been, let's build this building, I'm going to make a great amount of money, and you'll do fine too. And that's a typical sort of stereotypical developer kind of thought. I'll develop this property, I'll have a rental on it, or I'll sell the building and make a great sum of money out of it. So today we say, let's put the social good and the environmental good first, and you'll get your economic benefits out of that, as opposed to the other way around. The other way around used to be, well, yeah, let's get the gold star too, because that helps me sell or market the building. So today we look at buildings and homes and everything we're doing and say, is this a project that fits that criteria? Can we add value to this? Can we help them to place make, create great places for people? Can we help to change something that had been an asset that was underutilized, utilize it better from a community point of view? For instance, we worked on a building 2 years ago, an old 1904 unreinforced masonry building, basically a brick building, very common in a lot of places. I'm sure, Pennsylvania has lots of brick buildings around, and we were asked to add a third story to it. And beyond that third story, we were going to put solar panels, grow food for the building, use something called atmospheric water generation, so we could capture water from the air, and then use composting toilets, basically have nothing come off the site or into the site that wasn't regenerative. So from our point of view, from my practice and from my leadership, essentially, we now use this term conscious architecture to look for those projects in those situations where people want to do something that's better for society, better for culture, community, and planet. That's and we've been doing okay.
That's great. That's a great driving mission.
Thanks very much for watching. If you found it enlightening and interesting, then please like the video with your thumbs up. Please also subscribe to the channel to be notified of future episodes.